Hey, my name is Rex45. It's the B4evaKool Podcast. I'm here with TJ from Two Wheels and Coffee. What's going on, man?
What's going on? It's been a long time.
Man, listen, I'm traveling, you racing, doing track days, you doing it all. So, I know what it is.
I'm learning from the best, you know.
Is that what you're going with? I like that.
you know, they all encourage me to try all this new stuff, just see what it's about.
No doubt. How is trying the new stuff? Let's get everybody caught up because I've been doing a few episodes now and getting people caught up with my story. So let's get everyone caught up with you, man.
This year has been amazing. As far as the club racing, all the rounds are over. So it was 7 rounds, and I actually completed all 7 this year.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't participate in like 6 races a weekend, but I was there for the camaraderie and did like 2 or 3 races. But I participated in all 7 rounds. As I mentioned before in the past episodes, that Loudon was the only track I've been to. So this year I really spread my wings, I should say.
Okay.
I did the Poconos in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Let's talk about that. Talk about that a little bit. Like, what's it like? I've never been to the Poconos, so what's it like?
Well, it was my first time, obviously, but we went to do Ducati Revs event with Josh Herron,
Mm-hmm.
and it was fun. It was a flat track. I wasn't a flat track, but the surface wasn't more of like how we're used to
At
at
Loudon.
Loudon.
Right.
So there wasn't so much demand on yourself. It's more of like you can practice and get in your flow, get your groove back.
Okay.
So I thought it was fun. We was around a lot of Ducatis and a lot of professional racers like Josh Herron, Yavi Flores, PJ Jacobson, and a couple of others was there.
So you're getting your skills up.
Well, it was fun. That was the first session of the year, so that was my first track I've been to besides Loudon.
Okay. And
With the 600.
how did you feel about it? Like learning a new track, just being on a new track after being at Loudon for a few years now. What was that like?
Yeah, well, I'll pass it on. Is when you go to a new track, you always want to get a layout. I went with my friend Nick, and as I mentioned before, if you haven't watched the episodes, that I didn't get a track map, and I used him as my map.
As your
So
reference?
when we went out, so when we went out on the session, I just made sure I followed him and see what type of markers he used, and I just kind of adjusted to my level after a couple sessions after, and after you do 2 or 3 sessions, you feel more comfortable on your own,
Right.
to put in more fast times out there. So that was a fun experience, traveling to a different state. New Hampshire is for me, an hour and a half,
Right.
2 hours with traffic.
Down the road.
So this one was, it's going really far. So I'm like, all right, I got to make it worth it. So it was definitely worth it.
Nice.
Besides that, I went to New York Safety Track. Not over the course of the year, I've been 3 times now. So the first time was pretty cool. So all 3 times was amazing.
Okay. Nice.
And then did a Tony Track Day event with at Thompson in Connecticut.
Right. Yeah. So now,
unfortunately, that was a rain day. So got my feet wet in the rain too.
Right.
So I accomplished a whole bunch.
Nice. So now you've been to Thompson, you've been to New York Safety, Poconos, and Loudon. How is that? How do you feel now, right? Because you've gone to 3 tracks this year. You added 3 tracks to your resume this year. What's that like as far as like, when you go back to Loudon after going to these tracks now, do you look at Loudon differently? Do you feel like, wow, okay, how do you look at things now? Because for me, it was definitely eye opener after going to some tracks after just being at one track for a long period of time.
Oh, it was for sure an eye opener, but I won't be the one to say Loudon sucks
No,
because
I'm
that's where I was born and bred.
yeah, yeah.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm just
I
saying. I'm
wasn't
not
going
gonna
that
be the
way
one
at
to say
all. It was more just like from
no.
technical, riding and just different corners and stuff like that. Not whether, you know, we know why people
Oh
don't like
no.
Loudon, but
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. So I was born in Loudon, basically. So I would never say Loudon sucks, but all these other tracks for sure was an eye opener. Especially going to New York Safety Track, where it's a lot more corners than Loudon, and
hmm
it takes a lot longer to get around. It's
right,
a lot of banking corners, downhills, and it's just trees everywhere. So it's a whole different environment. And then like Poconos was very flat surface, just pretty big track, but it wasn't a lot of ups and downs. It was just corners. So,
right.
but it was definitely an eye opener to see what other layouts had to offer compared to just looking at the ground of Loudon. You could see like 10 feet down and with all the cracks and crevices and there. So.
Yeah, no, it definitely wasn't saying it wasn't necessarily what you like better. It's just more like, okay, for me, after being at Loudon for so long and then going to a new track, I realized I couldn't turn right. You know what I'm saying? Because there's not a lot of right turns at Loudon. And so like for me it was just like, oh, okay, now which, now a few years later, I feel so comfortable going right where before, I didn't. And so, I didn't know if you noticed anything like with your riding style after hitting some other tracks.
Well, I've noticed at New York Safety Track they do have like a right hander where you're doing pretty high speeds after like the wheelie hill,
hmm
where I found myself like, wow, I can get off the bike leaning to the right, where I'm not that comfortable with, but you know, I do struggle with hard braking and then leaning to the right and trying to accelerate. It's more of the tire feel, I guess, but um, I definitely, yeah, I would say New York Safety Track can help you with each corner because they have about equal amount
Right.
left and right hand.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, the more tracks you go to, the more diverse your riding skill becomes because you just see so many different things. And now, when you go back to some, like when I went back to Loudon, I did notice things I didn't notice before. And so, it does help. And same thing with all these other tracks that I've gone to. So definitely it's a plus.
Well, I must say that there was a lot of difference in the other track. Well, I would say with New York Safety Track because they don't have corner workers at every corner
Okay.
like we do at racetracks. So they have actual like lights.
hmm
So you got to pay attention to. It's kind of like F1. So they have like a blinking red light if it's a red flag, or blinking yellow or yellow light. So you kind of got to pay attention to the lights as you're going through the corners. So
Right.
it's a little different,
Yeah.
and but you're not going at race pace, so it's also like a little easier to see, but it's different.
Yeah, for sure. I think, every organization, every track, you have to definitely pay attention at the riders meeting and make sure you know what's going on. So when you get out there, you know what's going on because they're not all the same. The standard is not all the same.
Yeah, that's one thing I do recommend. Wherever you're coming from, if you get all your group of friends together, just make sure you guys make the riders meeting.
Yeah. Definitely, it'll make the day go by a lot quicker because when I mean, I think on a race day it might be more critical because like for instance, if you don't know your grid position or if you don't know races have been moved around and stuff like that, you can find yourself with a big bike in a 300 class or a 400 class or vice versa. So that's important. Maybe in a track day, you may be in the wrong group or something like that. But that's easier to deal with. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it is important to be at the riders meeting because when you want to ask questions after, if you was there, it could have been answered, and
Right. Yeah.
just slows the process down for everybody else. So.
Right. So now,
But
go ahead.
everyone. I was gonna say everyone can try their best, but it always something always happens. So.
Correct. Now you found yourself in Motor America in Jersey. What was that like? I mean, as a spectator going to Jersey, I will say after doing a couple of superbike classes at Jersey earlier this year, I might have to say Jersey's in my top three for one of my favorite tracks. Now that I know I won't say I know how to ride it, but I feel like I know how to ride it.
Well, before I get into the Jersey part, I remember doing when I first started racing at when it was LRS, and I was Niemer. We used to do rounds in Jersey, and I'm just like, oh, I couldn't afford to go there.
Right. Oh
And
yeah.
now I wish I've gone. Like it was pretty wet when I went to see
Yeah.
Moto America. It was raining the whole weekend, but it's just another good experience to see all of these professional racers just still have to go out there and put it down. Um,
And it was unbelievable from what I saw on online.
Yeah, it's crazy like seeing what online and all the crashes and the spectacular things happening. But when you're there, if you're at a certain corner, you don't see everything. So it's good to pay attention to that too. But just walking around, it just felt like Loudon in a way because everybody was friendly.
Yep.
There's races everywhere.
And I'll say not to cut you off. I'll say that that's like that at a lot of tracks. At most tracks I've been to, most people are friendly. I'm not I'm easygoing, but
Oh yeah.
I don't approach people. But I do know, like at all the tracks, people are. That's one of the beautiful things I think about motorcycle racing in general, or just the motorcycle scene. People are very friendly.
Yeah, so everywhere you go, people are not always friendly.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's not.
definitely
It's
going
not.
to
It's
a
not. It's not. It's
racetrack.
not 100.
It's not the norm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
not 100. I mean, people, there's definitely riders who are in their zone and they don't want to be bothered, and but it is what it is. It's not 100% for sure, but definitely, it's in the 80s.
well, I'm not saying like as riders in general. I'm just saying like people in general are just not always friendly. So going to a racetrack, it's always good to have a friendly environment. It just makes things a lot better. So just walking around, seeing all the racers, it just kind of felt like home. And there was no like VIP access to like maybe to talk to them or get a picture or something, but they
Right.
were they were walking out freely. Like Josh Herron was riding his pit bike to go watch at a corner. Um, you know, Jake Gagne was just standing out there just chatting with everybody, and Hayden Gillum. It's just everyone was out there, and it's funny that all the Moto America guys, the top guys, they had the paddocks, and everyone else had to pit out like
Like
how
the
we
rest of
do at
us.
the rest of us. So shout out to all the Loudon guys, but they weren't in the paddock.
Right. No, listen, man. You
So
get in. You
that's
get
a
in.
whole nother experience for them.
Yeah, you're getting where you fit in, for sure. It is, at the end of the day, it is definitely a love of motorcycle racing while we get out there and deal with the conditions we deal with. Because, we're not MotoGP or World Superbike, but, we set up for the weekend and then we break down and we go home,
Yep.
So,
It was pretty cool because going down there, I went with a couple of my friends, and I went to watch the professional guys, but along the course of the way, we found out there was about 4 or 5 kids from our club racing that's
right.
going to be participating, and I'm gonna shout out Eli Block because he participated in the Loudon Classic, and the whole time before the months before the race, he always wanted rain, and I'm like, this kid just wants rain, like I don't. And this weekend of the Moto America, it was rain all weekend.
Yeah.
So in his race, to see him come in first place for both of his races is amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Very dope.
It's-
And, it's one of those things that, I don't know the right words are, but Eli is such a talented kid, and I hope this opened the door for him to give him opportunities to do so much more and flourish.
oh yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to necessarily compare him to Mesa, but it's one of those things that motorcycle racing is a very expensive sport, and there are a lot of talented riders. So sometimes you see talented riders that don't have the support behind them to get them where they need to get to the level. Doesn't mean they're not as good as the guys that got the support. It just means it's just not a lot of teams in Motor America. There's not a lot of teams, and probably in a lot of the Canadian, Australian, World Super, not World Super, like BSB. A lot of these continental racing, for lack of better, or maybe countries. your major countries. You know what I'm saying? There's, because it's a very expensive sport. So, it was awesome
Okay.
to see. And I hope those wins open the door for him to really, get him to one of these teams because the kid is fast on anything.
And it's crazy to see, like, him beating all these kids. I just know what he could do at Loudon. It's just like, yeah, these kids are fast. Because there's a couple other racers in the same class, the 400. There's a lot of kids. There's a lot of young kids there. Like there's Eli, Adam Muscaro, Renee Franco. Our club racing community was doing very well out there. But Eli put it down. And it was just good to see.
Nice, definitely. I do wish him the best. And I can't wait to see what happens next season. Speaking of stuff, because we haven't even touched. I mean, I don't know how much time we have left, but I haven't even touched. We haven't even touched on what's going on in there's a lot of noise going on over there in your part of the woods there, TJ. So it sounds like there's there's a party going on. But we haven't talked
What type
about
of party you talking about?
Yeah, no. But let's talk about MotoGP and what's going on. I've already given my opinion on Marc Marquez and Morbidelli and even Pedro because all that's happening. So I don't even know where to start. Let's start with Morbidelli first, right? How do you feel about Morbidelli going to Pramac?
Man. So obviously I root for every racer. But when you have so I feel really good about it, and it just gives him a fresh start. And I hope he takes advantage of it. And for anyone that has a clean slate, no matter what they're going through, just a fresh start is always a breath of fresh air,
Right.
where they can focus and whatever the mistakes they had before, even if anyone doubted them, they can fix it and try again. But also another thing, I just know how much you love Frank. When I heard he's going to Ducati, I was like, "Oh, I'm here for Rexy. I'm here for Rexy." So you and my boy Jason, y'all chew me up. I just can't wait to see what he can do.
Well, what it is, TJ. Here's the thing, right? Like Morbidelli was ridiculous in Moto 2, right? And he was on the Honda in I think it was not 2019 when he went to, I think maybe 2018 he might have got to World Superbike. I mean not World Superbike, MotoGP. I think it's 2018. Don't hold me to that. And then he switched over to Yamaha in 2019, right? And so it he's one of these riders that like I don't know if it was Yamaha not running well or his injury causing him not to ride well. Like I don't know which one. I don't know what it was, but it's one of he's like Grant. To me, he's like Grant Hill. Obviously, not as old as Grant Hill. And for I'm showing my age because I should probably be talking about one of these young people getting hurt right now.
I know what Grant Hill did. He held out like 10 years, came back, and still was nice.
You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things like don't get me wrong. If he goes to Ducati and suck, right, then obviously I'm eating dirt. But I feel like this is a dude that like he didn't get his proper shine because, and I've said this already on the show. I think he is better than Pecco.
I know,
right?
I know.
And I just think he was not because it's like if you listen to the interviews and stuff like that, it's like Rossi, then it's like Morbidelli, right? That's what it's like, and then it's like Pecco, Bezzecchi, and the rest of them, and so. And as Pecco said in the interview, he's like, practices is definitely gonna be more competitive now that he's gonna be on a Panigale, right? So the dude he has the skills. You know what I'm saying? He just doesn't have the machine underneath him. So I'm excited for him, but I also feel for Bezzecchi because Bezzecchi could have gone to Pramac if he wanted to. And Morbidelli could have gone to VR46, but I think it was like a pecking order, right? It's kind of like, what I'm saying? This dude is on a factory bike. You can't put him on VR46. You got to put him something close to factory, which is Pramac, you know what I'm saying? So, and I think they, like, Bezzecchi was just like, I'll take one for the team. They're probably paying him the same money, no doubt, but I'll take one for the team and I'll stay with VR46 because he definitely could have had his seat if he wanted it.
I just don't understand how these factory teams, well, like Yamaha, knowing they have Fabio and Franco, it's just like, I don't know. I can't compare it to another sport, but it's like us just letting Tatum and Jalen Brown walk, because they're not satisfied with not winning a championship or something.
You know,
It's like they don't want to, just seeing him go into a Ducati and then probably, be an outstanding performer, like how Alex Marquez,
yeah. I
switched
I
up
I
and performed well. So,
I will say this. I think Yamaha messed up.
oh yeah,
And I think Yamaha didn't give him the support he needed when he was down and out. Because I think I don't and you're a bigger fan of Fabio than I am. And I'm less of a fan of Fabio because when Fabio was winning, he was kind of he wasn't necessarily, he was kind of like, I don't worry about what's going on in the other box. You know what I'm saying? On the other side of the box. I don't worry about what's going on. I just worry about me. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't being supportive to me on camera. He wasn't being supportive of Morbidelli when he was going through the troubles and when he was winning. And now he's struggling, right? Like Morbidelli was struggling. And you see how he's reacting now and all that stuff. And I'm not sitting here saying karma or whatever, but Fabio was not to say you should be, it's a singular sport, right? You're on a team because there's two riders and stuff like that. But if you look at, Jack Miller and Pecco, you look at Zarco, you look at a lot of these guys are really, and maybe Frankie was maybe in the background, Frankie was nasty to Fabio too. Who knows, right? I mean, I'm not there. I don't know what it is, but when Fabio was on reigning and on top, he really was just dismissing Frankie, and Yamaha did. I don't know if Yamaha did anything to squash that or to quell it or to say, hey, Fabio, don't talk like that, right? Because we should be working together. And you see now with Ducati, with all these riders working together, you see what's happening. You see that with Aprilia and KTM, and now Yamaha and Honda is trying to catch up. So, he got a bad rap, but I also feel bad about riders that are getting the Luca Ono, the Garner. You know what I'm saying? These guys that didn't really get a chance. But I think
don't go to KTM.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But Frankie didn't get a chance.
Yeah.
And then I think when he got healthy, his body, the bike wasn't right, and it is what it is. So I'm hoping that like Zarco, right? Because Zarco left KTM and had no seat, right, and filled in for Honda and got picked up by Ducati doing that, right? And you look at Zarco right now. I'm not saying Frankie's getting kicked out like that, but I hope this is a thing that he gets the Ducati and he's one of the top 4 guys in Ducati. Right, I see him as one of the top 4.
Well, this is what I like to see. Like I said, all the talk that you talked about Morbidelli. I love Fabio, and I thought they were a great duo. And it was tough seeing Morbidelli at his low. He got the knee injury, and it just wasn't the same. But I like to see this in MotoGP where they can, I don't want to say recycle a rider, but like find another home for him in MotoGP, right. Not just like Equal or Remy Gardner, like one year, see you later.
Listen, if Frankie wasn't part of VR46, he'd be out of MotoGP.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So if he was with KTM, I just love like how, even though they probably want to keep him, I just like how he's being treated. Even in Zarco. You know what I'm saying? Just
no, listen.
How they can still find a job within.
Well, here's the thing with Zarco before we go on to the other riders. Zarco had a chance to sign back with Pramac, but it was a 1-year deal, and Honda offered him a 2-year deal with a boatload of money, so he took that. So, I'm not. Look, I don't think Ducati. What Ducati did to like Dovizioso, Miller, in a case of Zarco, giving them 1-year deal, so they got to keep proving themselves every year. You look at Miller now where he's at with a 2-year deal. You look at Zarco now with the 2-year deal because those guys. I'm not sitting here saying, listen, I got Ducatis and I love Ducatis, but those guys, yeah, they're not, they didn't come out and out the gate like a Pecco, and nobody expected Bezzecchi to be doing what he's doing, right? Or even Martin at this point. These guys, these guys are doing, they're more consistent, which is awesome for them. But like the Miller, these guys, to me, they didn't show the same love, and they have moved on to better opportunities. And I think Miller is going to be synonymous with KTM for a very long time because Miller put these guys from top 10 to top 5. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what's going to happen in Zarco's case because, let's see what happened with Honda, but he's probably going to be with Honda for a while, and he could be the new Stefan Bradley, right? And start being a test rider, who knows, down the road. So that's my 2 cents on that. But now, what do you think about Marquez?
I wish we knew all the
going?
Huh? I wish we can know a little bit more on the insiders, like of like those type of decisions.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah. I'm sure it'll come. What do you think about Marquez going to Ducati? Did you see it come in? You don't own a Honda? Is your boy putting his Honda up for sale?
It's funny. He did send a group text. All I saw was time to get a Ducati. So I don't know yet. He put a lot of money into that replica he has, but we'll see. I'm sure wherever Marquez goes, he's gonna try to replicate, which is not a bad idea. He's a great rider.
Right.
But I'm excited to see what can happen with this.
I know
it's crazy though. We've seen it coming, but like it just wasn't for sure because it's been so long with Honda. So,
yeah. I mean, I think that. Listen, here's the thing.
I think they've replicated him so much that's why they're in trouble, like you mentioned with Yamaha. So,
I think Marquez masked the issues with Honda because he's such a good rider. And so he was able to ride around the problems of the bike up until he couldn't. And I think he noticed that when he got injured and his body wasn't 100, I think he realized what the bike could or could not do. But if he has 2 seasons or 1 season like Rossi, would Honda take him back?
Would he go back?
I think he would if he's so I don't know if he would. And this is the thing. And
I don't think he would.
And I mentioned this because, he's been 11 years with Honda, and he has a brand. Like, they can put out a Marquez Repsol bike every 4 or 5 years until beyond his death, right? If he stayed, he would be a god. He would be like Bayless. He would be like Foggy. I'm messing up his name, but you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He would be like so many riders. He would be like Rossi and Yamaha, and I think like Rossi was able to go back to Yamaha from Ducati and build that brand, right? So you see Rossi now. He's either going to have on a VR46 hat or a Yamaha hat, right? And that Yamaha brand he's going to push forever because that's what it is. So I hope that doesn't get tainted down 10, 15 years from now. I hope that there's there's a Repsol Marc Marquez bike that comes, because that's a beautiful thing. And it could happen for him with Ducati as well if he goes to Ducati and dominate. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen, though.
Him going to Ducati and dominating?
I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, I think you're right about that. But I always think Marc Marquez will be a contender until he retires. So
he will.
He would be top 5 at least, even when he switched to Ducati.
I don't know, because you see his brother struggle, and I'm not picking on his brother because it's his brother, but his brother left.
I think it's because of his brother.
Right, he struggled. Right, you saw that. Yeah. You saw that Martini struggled on a 23 bike early on, right, and even last year a little bit, right. You saw that Pecco struggled initially on the Duck as well. It's not like Pecco came out the gate, hitting on all cylinders. He struggled for a year and a half to almost 2 years, right? You see what I'm saying? Only Bezecchi's the only person that came out the gate, but he came out the gate on Pecco's old bike. So you see what I'm saying?
But
So
Mark Marquez is the god. He's gonna figure it out way faster than they probably could. Because he's gonna take that. He takes those risks before they would.
I don't think he is at this point. Marquez has a girlfriend now. I don't think he's taking the same risk. How many times did he fall this year already?
Oh man. I mean, yeah, he say that, but we all know it's like saying, "All right, I'm gonna take it easy when I go out there."
You're
not gonna take it easy.
Yeah, I know he's gonna ride,
You're
right?
gonna put it on. Yeah.
And off the record, I'm sure his brother is talking to him. I know that. I'm sure off the record, his brother is talking to him.
He's getting data already.
Right.
He's gonna get on that bike, and it's like he's been on it.
But
he's not gonna beat Pecco, I'm sure.
But that bike, the Ducati, is great in the braking zones, right? That's what Martin had to figure out. That's what Pecco had to figure out, is the braking zones, and that's where that bike is dead lethal, right? And so
he's a late picker.
And he's going from an inline to a V4. So we'll see if the bike is optimal, and we shall see. He's going to be running on a 2023 bike, which is the bike that Pecco's on and these guys are on. So he's going to have a really solid bike. But Martin is deadly. Pecco's deadly. Bezecchi's deadly. His brother is deadly. Right?
You just name all the Ducatis.
Right? Morbidelli, he got something to prove too. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Who else is left? Well, who else is Marini. And
Zarco is out there right now.
He's out. So Bastianini and Marini are the two guys that may be suspect. And Marini he's consistent, so he's in the top 5 generally. Not generally, but he's solid. And so Bastianini's the other guy because of his injuries. You know what I mean? But like, I do believe that Marquez has the ability to be one of the top guys, but there's competition there.
Oh yeah, there's definitely gonna be competition, but we all know the game Marquez plays. As soon as he get out there at a card, he's gonna be like, all right, who am I latching on?
Right.
And they're gonna be like, all right, you're already starting this. But the another thing is they also get a lot of testing that we don't see and they don't really talk about. They do the winter test and a couple of the private tests they probably do here and there.
Right. Yeah,
so I'm sure he'll get used to a Ducati. He probably buy one.
No, he can't jump on a Ducati till the end of the season. If he is, he ain't telling nobody. If he's jumping on his brother's bike, he ain't telling nobody.
But he took it for us.
But he's not getting on a bike. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm like I said, on one hand, I know what it's like because I think I in my heart of heart, I believe he wants to get more than Rossi, right? And that's I think after he won the last one, I thought he believed he was going to get two or three more by now, and that didn't happen.
Well,
and I believe he's mad because it's not him, it's the bike.
Well, you know that feeling when you can still get on a podium even when you've gone through your ups and downs, like you still have that confidence.
Right.
So he knows he still has that ability. So it's just a good feeling. I can see if he still hasn't gotten a podium or not really getting any points and still trying to chase Rossi, that's different. But like he has that edge on him still, like he still got it. So that Ducati, I think he's studying. He's gonna give him a push. We might shock us.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure on MotoGP he's riding a duck.
Oh yeah, he's figured out everything. Think about it. We only saw videos of Marc Marquez. I don't know if the whole world saw this, but he was blindfolded and felt out track.
Yes,
like
and he can hum the revs.
He can hum the revs. He can listen to the track and know where he's at.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen anyone do this. So I'm telling you, he's a different level type of rider.
No.
I mean, Pecco was probably the same, but he's a little discreet. Like we've seen examples of Marc Marquez. Like, he's scary.
Next year is going to be, if everybody stays healthy, it's probably going to be the biggest of everything. Viewership,
Oh yeah.
attendance, everything. Because
Oh yeah.
the next year is going to be ridiculous. And before we run out of time, we haven't even touched on Pedro now going to MotoGP as
Oh
well.
jeez. I mean, yeah, man. Congrats to him. I really wanted him to stay, but if he's all done with riding that same bike and wants to improve, like somebody got to make room for him. But sad to see Paul get pushed out, but I hope they find another spot for him somewhere or
Well,
something. But
they're still paying him, but and I don't know if
yeah,
it's true. I think they try to do that to Miller first, and Miller, I assume, and I said this already. Like Miller would say no, because like, look, bro, without me, you wouldn't be top 5.
exactly.
You can't, like, you wouldn't be with. So, and
And there was some sketchy thing going on with KTM. Like you never know.
I think KTM, here's one of the things where I think KTM should have just, and we saw this with Raul as well. They did this with Raul first, Raul Fernandez. They did it with him first. I think here's a situation when they got these guys under contract, and they show up and they supersede what expectations, and you want to get them up, and that's not fair because Pole is a very good rider, and honestly, you don't know what you're going to get when a rider goes up to MotoGP from Moto2, because you see people
exactly.
who are not in the top 5 go to MotoGP and do really well, and you see people in the top 5 go to MotoGP and don't do well. Look at Zarco. Zarco's 2 times world title, right? In Moto2, right? And not to say he didn't do well, because he's been on the podium, but he hasn't won. So, I don't appreciate what KTM did with that. They should have just kept him in Moto2 or allow him to go somewhere else.
I mean, just look at it this way: like Joan Mir had a average season and became a champion, and then he hasn't been, had a terrible year this year. Last year he wasn't even close to winning. Last year 2 years ago Fabio won it, and last year he didn't, and this year he's having a horrible year. So like, what makes you think that he's going to come up to MotoGP and just gonna, I don't know, where do you plan on fitting in? This is first year, can't just be a test year. Right. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially with KTM, that's when they get rid of you. So yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I think he should stick to that one more year. But
I completely agree. I do hope he's successful. Because if
I'll root for him sure.
Because and he will be, but it's going to take him at least a year.
I want to prove me wrong, but yeah, it's definitely going to take him at least a year. Just watching everyone else.
Most riders that take at least a year.
I mean, look at Jack Miller and Brad Binder. They're doing really well this year, but like they're still trying to figure it out. We can see it. Yeah.
No,
it's taking them some time. Like it started off really well, but it's still taking them some time. Like,
and some people may think, you look at some of these other riders. Look, Rossi's VR46 Academy is probably the anomaly, right? Because they're getting that information trickled down. Most of these other riders, not to say they don't have good people in their camp, great people in their camp, but they don't have Valentino Rossi in their camp. And I think that helped Bez, that helped Pecco, that helped all these riders. But these other folks now, you know what I'm saying? You need at least 1 or 2. Some of these riders need 3 to 4. You look at Jake Dixon in still in Moto2, 5 years, right? 5 years. And so, you know what I'm saying? That type of thing is that's the length. You look at Joe Roberts in Moto2 as well. That take time. You look at some of these other riders. You look, as you said, Brad Bender.
Sam Lowe's.
Yeah,
Sam Lowe's went to MotoGP and went back to MotoGP.
Right. You look at Oliveira. You look at all these riders. So there's no guarantee that Pedro is going to be the lottery ticket. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And Polo Spargro, he's a very good rider, and he's still getting his money. But these guys are not doing it for money. They want to be out there.
I'm just most upset that Pedro Acosta's like, I'm not Moto2 anymore. I want to go to MotoGP.
19 years old.
And they just answered like, okay.
Well, the thing is, there's other teams that wanted him. So that's the thing. And KTM had no choice to put him up there. But I think KTM should have just let him go. Just say, hey, listen, we would love to keep you, but we can't keep you. Good luck. Go ahead.
It was.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, like they must really think he's the next Mark Marquez for their franchise, but I'm sure there's another talent out there. If he's acting this way at this point, it's just they should know how they've treated other riders. Like, all right, we really respect you. We want you to succeed. Like, I think we should just get one more year so we can fit you right.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of talent out here right now. We got Petco. You got so much fight going on.
Yeah.
Like, we just gotta get one more year before we have you enter because we want you to dominate.
No doubt.
But,
So we shall see, man. Next year is going to be crazy. They got the calendar.
Oh, yeah.
They got the calendar out already. Some of it.
Oh, there's so many calendars out right now. I love it.
I know, man. That's
our Race to Club calendars out. BSB's out. There's all the calendars out. Just
nice.
You see that.
No doubt. Well, man, I want to thank you and appreciate you for coming on. We're gonna keep this thing going. My name
before
is
you go.
Before
we go, I know we asked me in my situation. Where are you going this weekend?
This weekend I'm going nowhere, but in a few weeks I'm going to Daytona.
That's what I mean. All right, there we go. So Daytona.
Next Thursday, Wednesday I'll be on my way. Next Thursday I'll be at Daytona.
That's cool because my racing season is about done. I might go to Homestead, but
don't mind, man. Just do it, man. Just do it.
I know.
Come on, just do it.
Trying to figure it out, but we'll see. But if we don't get back on before Daytona, we got to get that good luck.
Listen, I had a dream last night. I was at a racetrack. I couldn't tell you which one because it wasn't familiar, but I was at a racetrack. I'm like, hey, if I'm dreaming about racetrack, it's not too bad.
There you go. It's almost time.
All right, man. Peace.